Welcome back, class. Alright, so this is our edited drawing, the value scale. I got a couple of items I want to go over first before we start stippling here. I got my H pencil, my 2B, and the biggest thing is 2B is going to be a lot softer and therefore a lot darker, and H is going to be a lot lighter and a lot harder, so you'll gouge the paper. But I want the H just to be very smooth and light. In my own art, and I'll have to show you that those supplies when I get a moment. But right now, I have this right over here. This is our size small, and that is our. I like to use microns, but we picked this up for the school, and I also have a medium for our stippling. And we'll go over how to stipple that a little bit later. Right now, this is our image, and when I want to try to make something as accurate as possible, I like to use a grid. Some say it's cheating. It's not cheating, it's using technology. People have been using technology since the beginning. They've used camera obscuros and all that good stuff. So I'm going to just tilt this to the side. Well, we've gone through measuring before. I'm going to do a quick one here. And it's about 8 inches. So I got my line there, and I'm going to do inch squares. Now I could go off and just do 2-inch squares, which might work, but since I want to make sure things are just right, especially since this is my daughter and I'm trying to make something nice, 2-inch squares might work. So I'm just going to be quiet for a bit and we'll speed up the camera process here. Remember, I just slide the ruler down, I don't actually rotate it, otherwise we're going to have an issue. Alright, there you have it. And we're going to do the same thing on this piece of paper. Same exact size. Alright guys, we're back. So I have this little practice thing set up here. And so we have our light over here, and then you can barely see that. There's a couple things we're going to go over real quick. When people write, you know, they hold their finger, their pencil, or their writing instrument, or whatever, between the two fingers, their thumb here. And if you look at your fingers right here, when I really grip it, you can see capillaries, I believe. My medical brain reminds me capillary reflexes, I believe. Anyways, it's white. It kind of gets white, and I'm gripping that. Okay, now it's very loose. You know, it's just kind of sitting there, and I'll hold it steady. And I'm kind of drawn with a very, very light. See how no thumb down there? A very light thumb. It's kind of, and you know, you don't need to be super. You don't hold it with the same pressure that you are when you sign your name. Okay? You want it a little bit lighter. Okay? Especially when you're trying to find that circle, when you practice the circle. Alright, so with that in mind, when people do stippling, a lot of people do stippling, they grab their, we'll just use the 2B here. We'll grab this pencil here, and what they usually do is see students hold their pencil almost vertical, and they do dot 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 dot. Well, first off, yeah, it kind of works. You're gonna get inconsistent or irregular shapes. I don't know if you can actually see that. Let's see if we can zoom in here. We're gonna just. Alright, sometimes just moving the cameras closer is a lot better than actually zooming in digitally. Remember that. So they could do it vertically, and then you're going to get very inconsistent sizes and shapes. Plus, you're going to kind of dull the pencil, which happens. But with pens, a little bit different. What we're going to do, if you put too much pressure on these pens, the nib will actually go back in the pen, and you'll ruin the pen. So what we're going to do is you're just going to barely touch the surface. This can be very consistent. Sizes of the dots are very uniform, very consistent. Okay, and that's kind of what we're going for. We don't want these little, or some people, put little check marks. You can't really see in this right here, but they look more, if I was going to enlarge it, they have a big shape here, and then like that. That's how some, some ink dots are, where they have that little tail there, or sometimes they even have, somebody will do it and they have this little check mark type thing. We're not going for that. Very inconsistent. We want very, very consistent dots where they're all basically circles, or whatever the mark is. Very consistent. Just like that. You don't need to stab it, and you don't need to hold it vertically, although whatever way is comfortable for you. Another thing we need to do is not to do things in a pattern, because the human mind wants to find a pattern. So you can go like this, and you're gonna see this pattern here. People are just gonna find a pattern, and so you want to make sure you kind of vary it around the dots. See, I got too fast and they look a little like check marks. But we want that to be consistent. Also, not only in size, but in distribution. So if I'm trying to fill in this square, I don't want it to be like this, where you can see there's rows right here, and it's very clustered over here. We don't want that. We want more of a consistency, where it's very equal and even. I mean, there's variation, but that looks a little more consistent. Also, if you're going for extra credit, not real extra credit, but if you're going for more advanced technique, and you can follow this with the contours of the skin, the contours of whatever you're drawing here. You could, instead of just doing this and changing the values to make it look like there's flow, which we'll talk about as they follow, you could also do like a pattern. And we can see I had a pattern going here. I can add some more and get that pattern to come back. And this is not the easiest thing to do here, but you could try get a pattern going with your drawings. So anyways, we'll just gloss over that, but you need to experiment a little bit and see how it feels here. So what I did, and what we're going to do, is we're going to sketch out our person. I'm going to lightly draw shapes or what have you. Not very hard. and our good friend the box here. And so let's say we're going to make this area back here dark. I'm going to use my medium marker here. And what you can do is you can cover the area, because we're going to draw this out in values. That's why we use the GIMP program to kind of help us make guidelines of what values are going to go where. You can cover the whole uniformly and then worry about filling it in, which I suggest is probably a good place to start. And your dots can overlap, especially if you're in the dark area, because that's what's going to happen. And so there you have our box there. So the last thing I want to do, so let's get started. This is a round object here. This is our circle here. What I'm going to do here, and our light is over here. Okay, it's going to be darker over here. Alright, there we go. So this is our practice. I'll pause this thing and we'll get set up and we'll move on to the next stage where we're actually going to sketch out our image.